All right, Ben Manning. Today's Wednesday. It's May 25th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. We got a little doc review today. It's myself, it's Chief, it's White Sox Dave, and we also have our intern on, intern Lance. Intern Lance, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
I think your voice.
Basketball over the weekend.
That's not true.
Yeah,
that's a lie.
Inside the spread.
Nope.
Cover the spread.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Tune into Stool Scenes to watch the whole.
Can he actually play?
Can I?
Can he? I know you can't.
I mean, he's fucking tall.
But yeah, can he shoot? Like when he shoots a basketball, does it look fluid like an athlete?
I don't remember you taking any jump shots. You kind of just went to the.
My first basket was a jumper,
Okay.
and then you hit that three, and I was like, oh, I can't lose, so I just attacked the rack.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, I'm not playing defense.
No,
so.
I can't do that. That's out of the question.
I think you might have chimed in here. You know, you did the draft order once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But interesting time right now for you to hop on because we all watched the Abercrombie documentary on Netflix, and I didn't know that you worked at Abercrombie.
Yeah, it was my first job. I was in high school.
Yeah, so this is...
Well, people should also, I mean, Lance was also a former male model.
Yes.
So it's like, of course you fucking worked at Abercrombie.
Well, that's why I got the job. The job title was called model, but really you were just the person who folded clothes.
So you didn't watch the documentary.
No, I did
That's
not.
exact. They talk about that, how
It's a
that was like a
fucking
loophole.
loophole.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it yet?
No, I have
How
not.
have you not watched this?
I don't
lived
know.
it.
Maybe I'm just like, it's buried away. I'm trying to block it out.
So what years were you there?
I think it was 2012 and 2013. I was like a freshman in high school.
Okay, so that's kind of right before they went off the deep end, I feel.
I mean,
right?
They were founded off the deep end.
Well, I'm not saying saying it was right, but I'm saying like
before they got in trouble.
yes, before the shit, before everything
Hit the
went
fan, yeah.
Yes, shit hit the fan. Yes. So yeah, White Hot, Abercrombie and Fitch, I think it's just called, right? Whatever.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Yeah. Go watch it. We always tweet these out beforehand, and we put them on Instagram. So make sure you're following along on there. Dog Walk Barstool. Quick thoughts. I mean, we'll do the review at the end, but I did not know a lot of that.
I didn't know any of it.
I didn't know. I don't remember the lawsuits or anything.
No.
I didn't know about that at all.
Because I knew Abercrombie was like a dying brand, and I attributed it to it was a mall store, and that's why it was a dying brand.
Well, to me, yeah, but sure, yes. And because people like trends happen, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
It
of
was
course,
same
it's
thing,
ebbs and flows. Yeah,
we did the Von Dutch one, and
Yes,
that was
exactly.
like it was like a shooting star, burned hot, flamed out, and that's kind of what I thought of as Abercrombie in my head. So maybe there's a factor of, the dying malls kind of killing it, but I also think it was like, well, it had its moment in the sun.
See, now I did know that the owner was a scumbag. Well, not a scumbag, but I know he was controversial because I just thought he didn't like fat people.
Yeah.
I thought that was the thing that stuck out the most. Was he like? I remember that being a Barstool blog very vividly, and him being like,
I thought so too when I was watching it. I recall that being Lululemon.
Yes, I remember it being the little
really?
Lulu guy
Yeah.
saying
No,
like,
I remember Abercrombie. I remember
both.
that same guy who he looked like he was a candle. He looked like he was melting.
Yeah,
And,
a lot of Botox, a lot of plastic
exactly.
surgery.
So I remember that. I knew that. I did not know about the racial stuff and the discrimination. That was fucked.
That was fucked.
Yes,
that was fucked.
Just how did they think they were going to get away with that?
Well, I have some thoughts on this whole thing. I am a little tired of the whole world being viewed through a racial prism.
I think
so.
A lot
I
of people,
kind of like my initial reaction is to be like, all right, okay, hold on. But then it's like, no, they weren't giving shifts or jobs to any minorities or anybody who had a hair out of place. That is fucked up. But it's like, they're like, oh, well, they were trying to go after, preppy, upper class white kids, and the popular kids, good looking people. That's a tale as old as time. That's why there are celebrity endorsers. That's why models are on billboards. I don't know. I kind of think that is every business goes after a certain segment of the population. So I didn't have any problem with that until it was well, you can't have a shift. You can only work nights if you're black. That is fucked up.
Beyond
that is
fucked up.
because that's not just hey, this is our business strategy to get a target demo, to create a brand, blah blah blah, and to make the most money.
And every
this
company
is
ever
we
does
just
that.
don't want to associate with
or they
minorities at
shove
all.
you to the back. You can't just even that book. Did you see that book when you worked there, Lance?
my-
Where it's
You saw that?
Not that.
The lookbook or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like they would come out with a new one all the time.
Hold on, real quick. Preface this real quick because I was about to. So Abercrombie has this. It's like a employee handbook basically, where it tells you how to dress, how to have your hair, and it'll say look like this, and it'll be like a carbon copy of Lance with the frat swoop and the thick hair.
I didn't have to change anything. I was like,
it'll be like look like this, don't look like this. It'll be like a black dude with dreadlocks,
right,
with an X through it. You're not allowed to look like that.
I think the X through
stunning.
it. I think the X through it was just like some thing that the doc did.
Okay.
So I don't think that was actually like.
I got you.
I do think they probably, they had that no dreadlock policy, which. The only people that have dreadlocks that are like fashionable would be African Americans. It's like, you're not going to hire like the fucking white
pothead, stoner,
right?
Yeah,
like so it's like, no hippie shit. So the only and that guy's never going to apply to an Abercrombie either. You're only looking at like your kind of fashionable African American guy who would like reasonably want to work at Abercrombie, and they're like, nah, like can't have that. That like. It's preposterous.
It's preposterous. But so Lance,
to have it as like an official policy too.
Yeah, that book is like very common. That's like it's like your initiation when you're an employee and stuff.
And there's pictures of people. There's not like, hey.
Yeah, but I definitely don't remember them putting like an X through like a black guy with dreadlocks.
Like Chief said, that
yeah.
might have been just extra.
I think that was a graphic for the doc.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing that, like what you could look like and what you shouldn't, but I don't remember it being like every time like a black guy or anything like that. But I mean, it makes sense. And now that I'm thinking about it, like there was one minority that worked there, and she like you couldn't tell she was Filipino. She looked very white,
Wow. Dude, and this is the 2000s.
Yeah. This isn't fucking 1950s we're talking about. This is very recently.
It's fucking. It was shocking. It was shocking. Now I gotta say, like
which I guess is like maybe we're bubbles. But like holy shit.
But I never really shopped there.
I couldn't. I was too poor.
My mom would be like, "We're going to the Gap or Old Navy." Like
I had a couple year stretch.
Yeah,
that was it.
Did you have like the hookah shell necklace? And
No.
I had one.
It was like, dude, it was so expensive. It was like a luxury. I had two polos and two button downs.
Yeah, so I don't think I ever had anything from there. And I remember like,
and it was like a Christmas gift, or it was like, hey, I'm fucking spending. I'm gonna save and spend my money.
Yeah. No, but I definitely remember like being in the mall and walking by it and being like, I don't want to go in there. Because like they made a thing in the documentary too about, were you one of the guys with the shirt off on the outside?
No, I think they had like discontinued that by the time I got there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. That didn't happen anymore.
So were you like in front though, or were you in the store like folding shit?
Well, no, I did sometimes like both. A lot of times they would put me at like the front of the store to like greet people, but then also like I just folded clothes. Like it was actually a terrible job.
Dude, retail sounds tough.
It's
awful. Clothing retail. Did you work at
Target?
Oh yeah. But I had a buddy who worked at American Eagle, and he just like,
no thanks.
Respect for those people, because you're just, people are, think of how many times you tried something on and like you're never gonna get it just perfect. If you put it back on the rack, those people gotta fucking
all the time.
You know what I mean? Just
make it presentable.
Crease this, crease that. So it's tough. Actually, though, before we go any further, though, I want to talk about the secret to lasting longer in bed. And what's that, Lance?
That's Roman.
That's Roman. Dave?
That's Roman.
Chief?
Roman.
That's Roman. So Roman swipes, clinically proven way to last longer in bed. They're effective, they're easy to use, and they're fast acting, but they don't require a prescription. Roman can ship swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipe packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. They're super easy to use. Just take the swipe out of the packet, swipe it on, let it dry, you're good to go. That's it. Go to GetRoman.com/dogwalk to get $10 off when you choose a monthly plan. That's GetRoman.com/dogwalk. GetRoman.com/dogwalk. I bet a lot of these fucking Abercrombie and Fitch people wish they had those back in the day.
Oh yeah,
sounds like their parties were fucking wild.
Oh, for real,
Yeah, like college campus.
Yes. So go get some Roman swipes. GetRoman.com/dogwalk. Go do it. But yes, I think like I would really split this doc into two acts, pretty much.
Yeah.
The beginning it was like, oh, here's how it happened. Here's the rise, and that's like what you remembered. Like, that's what I remember.
That's what I remember.
It was the cool kid brand for sure. And I remember having like. Because my mom just was like, Dad, we're not paying $48 for a fucking graphic T-shirt. And What?
I don't remember the graphic tees at all.
Oh no, that's
I
the
don't.
other.
I don't remember that either. Actually.
I don't remember.
I remember.
those
I was talking
all.
like the moose logo,
Yes,
and like
I
where it
remember
would say
those.
where it would say Abercrombie like spelled out and things like
Yeah.
that. But I don't remember like.
Jimmy's hot dogs. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like for an example, but the
Or
one
they
that
had like the
The
unbelievably
Asian.
racist
Asian
Asian
one,
one.
yeah.
So it was like, what the fuck? And like, I don't know, like, someone made a point in the documentary where it's like, there wasn't one person being like, like, I don't know if we should make this. Like, and this is not that long ago. This is 15 years ago. So
If that, yeah.
yeah. So I'm
not surprised by that. They're definitely that kind of shit will go by back in the day for sure.
from major retailer like
But dude,
that.
there was
to,
like fucking, I don't know, like there was like Weird Al had that song. What, it was like Get Rice or something. Remember that? Like there was like there was
Yeah.
definitely
people
some
played a little
fucking
bit more
very
fast and
very
loose with
racist
that.
shit. You
There's
know what I mean?
definitely
back in the day,
been
but I
social
just
progress, but
Yeah,
it's
but
like
like-
those are.
I do think there's like a difference between like trying to be funny and then like and just like being like lost in the era of what's like the Weird Al thing versus like I got an idea, let's print 100,000 of these like racist Asian
Yeah.
T-shirts. I think there is a difference between that, and but it was just. It's gross. It was like actually gross. Yeah.
But like the first half was like actually interesting. It was
Very.
like,
I thought the
yeah.
whole thing was interesting.
Did you know that it had gone all the way back to 1892?
No,
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, and it was like a sportsman's, they kept referencing like Teddy Roosevelt because he was,
Yes.
the guy in the frontier and he's going, the Amazon and doing all this. It was like stuff like that. Like you're like a archaeologist or something like would wear their clothes and then they survived that way for 100 years. Like they didn't really
95 it said.
Yeah, then they like they had to pivot because another fucking mysterious scumbag, Jeffrey Wexner, Wexner, sorry, bought it and put it into his he was what they call him, the Mall Merlin.
Mall Merlin.
That's a great nickname for a shitty human being. But the Mall Merlin had the Limited, Victoria's Secret, Express, Abercrombie, and I think maybe one other one.
Yeah, I think
like maybe
did
like
too.
Eddie Bauer or something like that.
It wasn't Eddie Bauer,
No?
but they had
Okay.
they had like 5 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just how what did they mesh? They said they meshed Guess and
They said they tried to mesh. Yeah, it was. What was it? It was
fuck, I forget what it was.
Polo.
Yes,
It was
Ralph Lauren and
yes. and
Guess.
yeah.
Exactly.
And so they're trying to like meet in the middle of those, and
Yeah.
and it's like I thought their strategy was kind of like brilliant. Like they kind of invented like influencers in a way.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
So not invented, but like, well, yeah, kind of. Like
I would
now,
say
like,
invented.
Because it was like the first ever like regular person. Like they were just going to middle America. Like they found this guy who's like, I was a high school football player in Nebraska. I was a captain of the wrestling team in Iowa. Like just like regular kids. And they're like, the hot cool kids, and they're gonna make them and like get in with the frats and like find like the coolest guy in the frat and give him a bunch of shit, and then the rest of the frat and all the other frats will follow.
Which is different from Von Dutch because they did celebrities.
Right. This is just your average.
And they probably paid a shit ton for that. These guys are taking this for fucking free.
Yeah, right. And then, but it just became like, we'll just give it to everybody loves free shit. I love free shit, and just give it to like the hottest, coolest guy in the school, and then everyone else will follow. It's almost like that Mean Girls scene in the locker room where she cuts off
the
like
nipples.
the nipples of the t-shirt. She just walks around with her bra out through the t-shirt, and then the next day, like all the girls are wearing the holes cut in the t-shirt too. It felt like that was their strategy, and it worked.
Yeah, and I think it would like even from the store perspective, it's like we were the first ones to close off, like put the blinds down, turn on the music, and make
which is so like counterintuitive.
Yeah,
for sales, where it's
but
like
that's their
smart.
goal was to be exclusive.
Yeah,
and
just to make people come in the store.
Yes,
yeah.
Oh,
So,
we got to see what's behind the curtain.
right, exactly. But like usually, it's like you always talk about location. The big window display is like you want to catch people's eye. They're like, no, we're doing the opposite. This is a lockdown. You have to come in here if you want to see what we got.
And then, like you said, awesome campus. Looks like they're having crazy parties. Like it seemed like it was probably a blast to work at.
I'm sure if you were working there in 1999. You had a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. And then the second act.
And they said they gave all those people stock too, like the early
Oh,
employees.
yeah.
They probably made fucking bang.
Loaded.
Yeah.
Loaded. And the second act, I was like, well, they're actually very problematic.
Yeah.
And it was
That
jarring.
whole first act, I'm like, all right, Ed, what's the deal with malls? I thought it was like all kind of shtick. And I'm like, I sat through that Alabama documentary, and it was fine, whatever. It was only an hour and a half or whatever it was. I'm like, this is all this is. Like, what's his deal with malls? And then I watched it, and that second half, it was like, whew.
And that's where it kind of kicked off. Was that shit was about the graphic tees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With I forget what.
Do you remember
website
those,
that guy was
Lance?
from?
No, I actually don't know what you guys are talking about.
So,
Oh yes.
just standard, normal Abercrombie graphic tees, and
Right.
it would, I forget the exact slogans, but it would have like two very blatant caricatures of Asian people, like in rice patties and shit, like with the very
like
slanted eyes, and
The shirt said it was something like the Wong's Laundromat or something like that.
two Wongs don't make a white, or something like that.
But it was like the sheets, like
Yes.
we'll make it white. It was
Right.
like, whoa.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
and these
some-
were like popular. These were like big sellers for
Correct.
Abercrombie.
That's what they
Correct.
said. And they said it was 85% markup. Like they were
Yeah.
making a shit ton of money.
Whoa.
And then this guy in California who ran this Asian blog, and he was like, "Hey, like this is fucked up," and there was protest. I do not remember that.
I don't
either.
Yeah.
But that was probably, I do think that there was one other guy, I can't remember what his role was, but he was like a VP of something at Abercrombie. And he was like, I remember a moment in time where it was like, this was really our downfall, is they had, because it was always like the cool popular kid who was like, whatever. And then there was some movie, or it was Spider-Man.
Yep.
Where like the bully was just, the villain was dressed head to toe in Abercrombie, and because it was like, oh shit, something has clicked over, where now it's no longer seen as cool, it's seen as like a douchebag brand, and he was like, this is not good. And then it seemed like that was the tipping point, like that came before the graphic tees, I feel like, and then everything after that was like, holy shit, like everything unraveled.
Yeah. And even in the Rise too, something that I was waiting for the whole time. I don't know if you guys were, but the LFO song.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I thought they would give, and they did give a nod to that. How that Mike Jeffries thought it was like the coolest thing in the
I
world.
like girls that wear. That's like my go-to fucking.
You play that Touch Tunes, yeah.
Yeah, it's my touch tune song on like a Sunday fun day.
It's a great song.
Yep.
It's a great
band.
song.
Great boy band.
Yep.
LFO.
I feel like
But now I
can't
feel like I
remember
got
another one.
abandoned.
Ah, you don't remember
Bandit.
that song?
I remember the song. I don't remember their other songs.
Girl on TV.
Yeah, Girl on TV with Jennifer Love Hewitt.
West Side
Oh,
Story.
yeah. Yeah,
They had a
maybe.
few bangers.
Okay.
Yeah, they did. And then it's just like, it would be one horrific racist thing to the next. It was like the headscarf thing was just
Yeah.
absurd.
Absurd.
You can't.
Can't have that.
So
And then they hired a diversity officer, and I know like our company has the token CEO as a play on that because people have called Erica Nardini the token CEO. This guy was a token hire. The chief diversity officer or whatever, that's all it was. It's like it was the most performative virtue signaling move ever.
Yeah.
And it did
Like, I don't want to demonize
nothing.
that guy.
No. I'm
Yeah.
not saying on his end at all.
Because he like tried, and they had
Yeah,
certain
and he tried.
metrics, and things got like marginally better after he got
But
there.
that's when they switched to calling the people up front the models, because
Yeah.
models you can actually
you don't have to.
legally
Yeah, and I don't wanna-
segregate by height and weight and
Right.
all that shit.
yeah, and I don't know if he would define himself as that. He did come off sincere, I thought. In that
No, I'm not trying to say
Yeah,
that
yeah.
he didn't, because
yeah,
he
you're
absolutely
saying more
did.
on the
I'm-
upper management.
Yeah.
part.
Yes, they
Yeah.
hired him. Oh, look, we got a black guy. That's all it was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's
that's how
it
it.
felt like a little bit of a PR move, and
Yes.
then the guy himself like did work to enact some changes, but it was almost
Falling
like
on
too,
deaf
it was
ears.
too far gone. You know, like the brand had been established, and like the negative PR had been out there, and was like, well, you know, even if you do change it, nobody's going to even notice until there are sweeping changes at the top, and then those came too, because they had this photographer who was, you guys remember his name?
I don't, but he wrote for Salon, I think it was.
No, this
Oh, Bruce Weber.
Bruce Weber, yeah,
Yeah,
the old Illinois basketball
coach.
coach, yeah.
what?
And
It's not the old
but
basketball
right,
coach,
he
to
was
be clear.
he was a very famous photographer who had worked on all sorts of other campaigns, and he supposedly like created this book called he was like a photography book. Basically, he was just like, He loved like the shirtless, like, you know, like that, like all the bags, all the mannequins, all the advertisements. He was like the brain trust behind that. And then it got to the point where it's like came out that he would be like, yeah, like, why don't you come over for dinner tonight? And he would try to like sexually molest or, you know, coerce these male models into sex.
According to this doc.
Yeah. But he did settle 2 sexual assault cases out of court. So, and then it's like,
that's not an admission of guilt, but
he actually specifically said that like he settled without having to give an admission of guilt.
It's
he did have
plea of no contest.
Yeah,
I believe is the term.
And then they had another one that got thrown out. But you know, I hate to be like where there's smoke there's fire guy, but a lot of people had similar stories.
He was an Epstein guy.
He had links to Jeffrey Epstein through Les Wexner, who owned all those brands.
Lance is so happy you popped on for this
one. Damn, it was wild.
Lance, would you like to speak up for Abercrombie? Would you like to defend
I would like
them?
to disavow Abercrombie.
Good job. Yeah, it was strange because like Von Dutch was really good. That was a really good documentary, and this was just different in the sense of it was like a dumpster fire, but in a different way.
I mean, the Von Dutch one, they had all sorts of like crazy problems too, but you never had.
That guy was a Nazi.
Yeah, but then they had all sorts of like crazy characters in that one, and so like the original, like the name Von Dutch, like that guy who had really nothing to do with the explosion of the brand.
Correct.
The founder was a Nazi, but no one really knew.
No, yes.
Where this was about like, they made this company into like a homoerotic white male, like weird, like that was their whole brand, was like shirtless dudes. And they said that in like the photographer was like, he crafted this book that was like, they were like, oh yeah, like every gay guy I know owns this book. And it was like this, but like they showed the book and it looked like just Abercrombie ads. Like that was like how they built their entire brand.
What was the name of that book again?
Something Pond.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It was,
and so it was just like a weird, like the whole thing. And it was like there was like this whole like back culture going on that the consumer like had no idea about. It was just like, this is, you know, they targeted, they ran their lives and their business, and it was like, I wonder if something like that could happen today. Like if that type of a successful business is operating that way today, and there will be another documentary like this, or if it's just impossible in this age of the internet. That things just in social media,
I would say it's
just
pretty fucking hard.
Yeah, to hide your intentions and these like
everyone's got a platform now.
Discriminatory, like it was like company policy to discriminate against people,
yes,
like in writing. That is just unbelievable to me. But
now when you were there, was it like? I mean, you were there later though, so I don't know how
later, and you were young and dumb and ignorant.
Yeah, I would say I was probably oblivious to some of those things, but like that like was the vibe. You know, it was like we all kind of looked the same. We were all like preppy, you know. And I remember when we had like my job interview, there was probably like 10 of us, and like the 4 of us that got it were, all right, I don't want to throw myself in here, but like we were like the most attractive ones of the group. You know what I mean? So it was like that was like kind of what it was like, and they added the whole like fashion and modeling to it, because then I like went to like real modeling. When you were talking about like photographers and that weird shit, like they're like, oh, do you want to go get dinner? Like that's all of them. You know, you gotta like a lot of photographers like, oh, you want to go get drinks after? Oh no, I'm hanging out with my buddies. You know what I mean? Like, hell yeah, that's like very, very common. About like
really,
yeah, like do you want to go get dinner? Oh hey, like do you want to?
I'm the oblivious one, because this is just like,
well, thank God we weren't born hot.
Well, so I started it, and they were going into. As the documentary was progressing, they're like, yeah, the recruiter. So did you get recruited? Like you walked in to buy a shirt and someone came up to you and like, hey, would you consider working here?
Yeah, how did it start?
No, so my friend who was that girl, right? She had gotten the job and she had gotten recruited that way. She walked in, they're like, oh my God, hey, you should do this. And I had just kind of like, hypothetically, it was almost like a joke. Like, yeah, I think I could do modeling. It was mostly because I was like tall and blonde, you know, and I was like, eh. But then she was like, I actually am a model. Like, I could get you, like, a model, too. I was like, oh, I'm in. Like, let's go, you know? Like, that's actually real. Like, let's do it. So then that's what it was. Went in, kind of, like, did the interview. They're like, oh, my God, you're perfect and stuff. And then I, like, got the job, and it was like, I didn't do any modeling. You know, I was like, when are the cameras coming? You know? Like, all I did was fold clothes and stuff. And then...
Now, was everybody a shitty employee? Because they sure make you guys seem like it.
Probably. There's a couple people who are like really committed to it and love it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, there were a lot of shitty employees. Like, what's actually really funny, the Abercrombie I worked at, David Dobrik actually worked there.
No shit.
We never worked any shifts together. I think like when I came in, he was on his way out. But some of his like boys that are still like friends with him and on YouTube and stuff, I like work shifts with those guys.
No shit.
That's crazy.
So that
wild.
was weird. Yeah.
So
it was just weird.
That is wild. You probably have no idea who David Dobrik is.
No, I know. I've heard the name.
He's fucking the biggest YouTuber in the world.
Didn't he
he's huge.
almost kill one of his friends or something?
Yes.
Yeah, he's been canceled a few times.
Yeah, and one of
right?
his friends that like started doing some of the bad stuff that's getting David Dobrik canceled was like the dude that I worked the most shifts with.
Shit,
yeah,
no,
like Dirty Dom.
No, that's it. That's him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that guy's like he did some very serious,
And you could like
disgusting shit.
Yeah, it was bad.
Illegal shit.
Yeah, definitely.
No shit. Lance.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild.
This
It's
guy just keeps stories underneath his hat.
No,
I know.
I know.
Almost a fucking year.
the as they were getting into the recruitment part though, like tall, skinny white dudes with that looked the part of a model. I was like, why the fuck did these guys never approach me in the store? Because I had walked through there a bunch of times, never bought nothing really.
They didn't have a speed pitch in there. Clearly,
they would have. I would have been.
You would have been the face of everywhere on billboards. Yeah, on that quarterly magazine.
Exactly.
White Sox Dave. It's got up to 91 now.
Yeah, and I never really liked Abercrombie. Like you were saying, like there was like a villain, like a character like that. Like that's almost how I saw Abercrombie. It was like a douchebag brand. I never really wore it and stuff.
I think that's probably the age gap speaking. Because for us, I was always like, their clothes never really fit me. I've always been like a stocky, like barrel chest kid. And then I was short and chunky. So I was like, these clothes they're not for me. So fuck these people. And they're also just like super expensive.
I grew up in the whitest Mean Girls. I grew up in Mean Girls High School for all intents and purposes, and it was everybody in middle school and high school.
Yeah,
like the top of the class was wearing Abercrombie, and because of that, I had resentment. I'm like, I can't afford it. I would go to. I remember Aeropostale. I'd have a $20 bill, and it was like $19.98 for 2 graphic tees, and I would grab those. And I would grab like pocket change to pay for the tax, and I'd have a $20 bill. I mean, I would do that every so often. That was my shirt.
Yeah, I was definitely more American Eagle, Aeropostale.
Yeah, or American Eagle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was like
at those.
you just you need once you saved up a little bit, and Abercrombie was like
I had a few. I'll say it now. I bought a couple off eBay here and there.
Did you?
Yeah,
shipped in from China or
probably. Probably.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that. That was that was the
Just
fucking
like
thing, dude.
one letter's missing on your
yeah, it was a back, the moose was back upside down or something.
Back in like, there's a picture. I doubt it's still on the internet, but I remember you roasting me on it. I was with my other buddy Ryan, and we were driving to, I want to say it was State, and he took a picture of me, and you roasted it because we played pickup basketball earlier in the day in the city. I don't even know if I was still or living downtown yet, and I had a white shirt on, and I was driving to his place, and I threw like just a regular Abercrombie collared shirt on over
like a polo,
like a polo, yeah. And you roast me. You're like, oh, you're an undershirt guy. I'm like, here we fucking go. Here's the internet. And that was like 2013. That was when I was like still kind of scrapping along to try and giving a shit about looking good. And at least what I wore. And
when did you give that up?
Probably not too long after that.
Yeah.
Once you get in your mid-20s, then it's done. But yeah, it was a wild I had no idea about.
No, and that's where like I feel like people are gonna be like, oh, you guys are just fucking white dudes. You guys are just blinded. But like we were young, we were in our teens, so that's why it's like like Blanche said, we were oblivious at the time.
Totally oblivious.
Like looking back, it's like holy fuck, we should have seen this.
They said that like their big explosion of that brand was like it turned really cool because when did that LFO song come out?
Like 2000.
Maybe before that.
97,
yeah.
98.
So if so then I was like in 6th grade. I remember being in 6th grade and it becoming a thing. And then it was definitely a thing for me all through like high school until I went to prep school and you had to wear like a blazer. You couldn't wear Abercrombie. But
yeah, the only thing I knew was that this Mike Jeffries guy was controversial because he said he didn't want fat people wearing his clothes. That's all I knew about.
Yeah.
The controversy over Abercrombie.
Yeah, he did have a quote where it was like, "Yeah, you're goddamn right. We're exclusionary."
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, but like, you know who else would be? Is probably Mercedes. You know, like they're.
And I don't vilify him for that. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, exclusionary on like.
And like, or every diamond. Like, there's a reason why De Beers. Have we done a podcast on it?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, where De Beers, they control the entire diamond supply, and then they only release a certain amount every year to artificially keep the price high to make it seem like it's incredibly rare and incredibly valuable when it really isn't. And that's like, to me, like those are all kind of the same idea.
Yep.
But it was the employment stuff where I was like, that's fucked up.
I mean, it's blatant.
Blatant. The graphic tees and the employment
I mean,
issues.
it's like, think about it. Hot Topics targeting their demographic.
Sure. Yeah, they all are.
Every company on earth. We do it. Pepsi does it. Everybody does it. So like, I don't vilify them for being exclusionary on, but like
as a business model,
right?
But
no,
you
I'm trying to pick my words carefully so I don't
right.
sound like I'm defending them because I'm not. In
Don't
any way.
say it because you don't know how to say it, but I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
How about that?
I know it.
You're welcome.
Fat people aren't meant to wear every single kind of garment.
Sure, yeah.
That's just that's how it is.
Right. And the same reason, like, I wouldn't get pissed about Victoria's Secret not offering me boxers.
Exactly.
You know, like, it's just like they're not
I think
after
you can now, actually. Can you?
Really?
I don't know.
Sounds pretty sweet though.
That's
It does
interesting.
kind of. Yeah.
But like, you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
they don't make clothes for me. I'm not gonna, it's not for me.
So have a listen. It'll blow your hair back.
And then the final note here. How about that article? It just went reviral.
I know.
That's the craziest part to me. That article was
no one batted an eye.
No, in
originally,
2006, I think it was, and then in like 2013,
Yeah.
they went reviral.
13 or 16.
Yes,
Because 16, I think he officially stepped down.
did he? Yeah. And now
The CEO, Mike Jeffries, stepped down. Yeah.
And then everyone know. I think it's like, I shouldn't say it's well known, but did you know they were coming back like this? Like, did you know?
I looked at their stock this morning after it, and it had a major rebound.
I've heard that it's coming back. There's one on Southport Avenue, like almost Southport and Addison. And I went in there a couple weeks ago looking for a belt. They're like, we don't sell any men's clothes. And I don't know if it's just that one, but that particular Southport was exclusively
really That's
women's
interesting.
clothes. Yeah.
Did you pick up any
heard they
clothes
got
for the
good-
girl?
No,
No.
I don't know how to do that.
No.
I heard the T-shirts are nice.
Yeah, they have any interesting sayings on them now?
No, like just like undershirts, that kind of thing. I've heard they're nice. But so Dave, if you're getting back in the undershirt game, maybe back to Abercrombie.
Maybe.
No,
I gotta ban them. You mentioned this brand earlier about I forget exactly who you're speaking of, but Adidas. If you want to look into them, Adidas and Puma, very, very bad companies. At least they come. So Adidas is it's.
Are you sure you want to do this?
No, I mean this is Wikipedia, and there's articles all over the internet. But Adidas is so ADI is it's like calling Dave and David, Bill and William. It's short for Adolf, which is a common German name. It was obviously until 1939 or whatever and after. But and then Das is shortened for another German name, and they combined it, and they were hardcore Nazis, like members of the party, like high up.
Yeah,
I feel like that happens all the time. Remember we did a show a couple of years ago about Krispy Kreme and Panera.
Yeah,
that came out.
But like,
that was like Ancestry.
Bayer, same thing.
Yeah.
Rockefeller was selling jet fuel to the Nazis. Like they had business deals. Like it's.
You turn over some rocks, you'll find some shit out.
Yeah.
You'll find some shit out.
Yep.
But yeah, that's really it. Obviously, disavow.
Yeah, no more Abercrombie.
Not that I ever vowed.
Oh no, they're back though. The new CEO, like it's.
Okay, yeah.
I'm telling you, like that's
disavow the old guy.
Yes, the old guy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
disavow.
It'd be cool if they're just like, we're going back to like hunting gear.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Her name's Fran Horowitz. She seems like she's really turned it around. So good for them. Good for them. Everybody likes a comeback story.
I knew that guy was in trouble when they brought the Mike Jeffries guy because I didn't remember him at all. But they brought him up in the first 5 minutes. They're like, he could not be reached for comment on this. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad for this guy.
I'm so mad you beat me to it because I saw that and I was like, oh yeah,
here we go.
Because it was like Beanie Mania when they said Ty Warner wasn't able to be reached. I was like, oh, this is gonna be.
Here we go. This is gonna buckle in. When's the hammer dropping?
Yeah. So yeah, good for them to kind of change and not be pieces of shit. Lance, anything else? Voice crack.
No, I mean, I guess I got to disavow again. Disavow Abercrombie. The past Abercrombie, they can come back and do nice things.
Do you think that you should figure out how much you earned there and then donate it to charity?
Yeah, like an anti-discrimination charity or something.
Yes, as long as you match or double.
Oh, I love it.
I didn't work there.
I love it.
You worked there 2 years where you're making like $7 an hour probably, right?
I mean, I worked from there from like November of 2012 into like maybe June of 202013, and I was making
like
$825. Yeah, so like 6 months. Yeah, and I was part time, so I probably was working
20
like 20 hours a week.
Dave will match. Dave will match.
In 6 months, you probably made about $5 or $7 grand. I bet.
Well, he was a model.
I feel like probably less, but. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, probably. 20 hours a week times 8.
You'll confirm match?
Let me do the math. 20 hours times 8, that's $160 a week times 4. That's $640 a month times 6 months. That's about $4 grand.
Yeah, payroll tax. Cut that out.
So you'll match.
Yeah, and then you got payroll tax and all
that.
Cut
out maybe 8. So now we're down to 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
So you'll match.
I can't match.
Got a mortgage.
Got a mortgage to pay, Ed.
Dog to support.
All right, then. Lance, thank you for your insight. Appreciate it. First appearance, I believe.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. Nice. Yeah, it's fun.
Sorry,
it's nice being on this side.
Grade yourself. Pizza scale.
Wow, I think I'd have to go like a 7.2. You can't give yourself a high score. But I don't think I did.
I think you did well.
No,
you knew where to chime in,
and
you laid back. You had some good facts. David Dobrik, that was interesting.
That was good.
So
I'll give you a 7.4.
Oh,
I'll give you a 7.5.
Let's go. Appreciate you guys.
I can't be in the spot. I gotta go home and watch the tape. So all right, that's it, everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see you then.